And even big tech can't shake off the economic slowdown that we have been, again, looking ahead to for a long time. Yahoo Finance's tech editor Dan Howley is joining us now. And obviously, we've been paying a lot of attention to tech and sort of a retrenchment in tech. But you've got a sort of big picture look at what we're seeing.
Yeah, so, we're talking about the different variables that are going into kind of the tech industry right now and what we're seeing. And so, we usually look at tech, obviously, as kind of not necessarily, not even close to, recession proof, but we have these stalwarts that you think can weather these storms pretty well. But we're starting to see cracks in this kind of facade. So Microsoft obviously announcing layoffs yesterday, not saying how many exactly we had, but about 1,000 is what the going number is. That follows their prior move to lay off about 1% of their workforce in July. So Microsoft, despite being this huge cloud company that does incredibly well in that area, they had, double-digit growth in cloud in the prior quarter. They're still having to contend with these kinds of issues. We have Meta and Intel, two of the worst performers right now. Meta stock down 60% year to date, Intel down 49% year to date. We also have Meta pushing people out the door, not necessarily laying people off, but saying, hey, maybe you're not right for this position, in so many words. We had Google. They weren't necessarily laying people off, but they closed their Area 120 division, which does some research for different products. And so they shuttered those products, and they had these people reapply for jobs. And then when you look at the consumer side of things, we have Apple yesterday basically not announcing, but the reports coming out that they're cutting production of their iPhone 14 Plus. And that was prior to that. We had heard that they were reducing some of the production for their iPhone 14 in general to about what the iPhone 13 levels were. So, this whole idea of, big tech being this huge force, obviously the idea that them being immune to any kind of market factors is really, that's not true at all. But, we are starting to see kind of the pain really set in for these companies. And, I talked to some people, they're saying that essentially this isn't going to get better until perhaps some point in 2023, at least for the tech industry. Could go into 2024, though.
There's FX concerns that they've cited as well. Many of these tech businesses, if not all of them, are certainly impacted by that. But then you mentioned the consumer side, and if we can go deeper into that, what does that really spell out for this holiday season for some of the consumer technology that they're expecting to move through into households and into consumers' hands?
It's interesting because as obviously a lot of companies haven't raised prices on consumer products just yet, right? At least here in the U.S. Overseas, we've seen Apple raise prices. We saw Sony raise prices on their PlayStation 5. Obviously, a big holiday gift, both of those.
If you can find it.
If you can find it. Now it's a little bit easier because not everybody's looking for them again. But,
I like that.
I do think that we're seeing this issue with, not just the slowdown in the PC market, which we've been talking about. That obviously impacts the likes of Microsoft, then Intel, AMD, NVIDIA. It's all these kind of knock-on effects, the memory chip makers. But we're starting to perhaps see it on the smartphone side of things. And that, that would then start to hit the likes of Apple, the likes of Samsung, companies in those areas. So I do think that we're going to see fewer people spending on these big ticket items. Video games, I think, are still going to do pretty well. We have a couple that are coming out that are big names, but I don't know if it's going to necessarily be this huge blow up that we saw during the pandemic where gaming was so big. But that should still continue to do well. But the PCs, the tablets, I don't necessarily know if people are going to be getting those just because they already bought them. And so you're going into a season where people are trying to save maybe.
Right.
I don't know if those are going to do particularly well.
Yeah, there's only so much space you have in your place to store the next computer. Dan Howley.
Me, man.
I know, right? Dan Howley, great analysis. Appreciate it.